What's the smart way to grow your property portfolio? If you're in the process of building up a property portfolio, let's look at the smart way to do it so you can condense the time down that it takes you to do it. Sound interesting? Hey, keep watching. Hi, my name's Kevin Wright. I've been brokering every type of property finance for over 20 years. And I pop on here every week and share some of the stuff I've learned over the years. If you watched any of my other videos, you'll probably know that I get asked a lot of questions. So I'm going to drill down into a question that I got asked recently. So let's have a look first at what the question was. So this guy contacted me to say that he'd got a portfolio of 4 London properties worth about $550,000 each, and he'd already remortgaged them to pull out whatever equity he could. All the houses are rented and they've got excellent tenants. Now he wants to do something a little bit different. He wants to buy a dilapidated property, refurb it and then sell it on, but he just doesn't have the cash to do it. And his question to me was, where could he get potential investors ready to put the money into a deal like this for a reasonable rate of return? Now, the first thing to note here is, and in my response to him was, look, the FCA are all over this. Now, when I say the FCA are all over this, what I mean is they produce successive directives like PS 13/3 right through to PS 2015. Now, these limit and restrict what they call financial promotions. And this is using predominantly social media to try and elicit funds into an unregulated investment. In this case, it's property. Now, no individual investor has the time or the money to get themselves regulated by the FCA to be able to do promotions in this way. Now, if you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, I've seen loads of adverts like that or loads of posts like that. Well, you have, and that's because these people either unknowingly or deliberately are choosing to breach and flout these FCA directives. Now, to the extent that the FCA police this is on a reactive, not a proactive basis. My message to him was also that other people's money that you think will solve your need possibly won't, and I'll examine this why later in this video. What's needed here is a complete rethink of how to finance properties. Now, what's happened here is pretty common. In fact, it happens to a lot of investors. What's happened is he's run out of cash before he's run out of ambition. Now, in his case, it took him 4 properties to hit that wall where all his cash is tied up in properties. Now, it may take you or other investors fewer or more properties, but pretty much everyone hits the same wall unless they get a lot smarter about the deals that they buy and how they finance. Now, why won't using other investors, other private individuals' cash work in the way that possibly this guy thought it would, in terms of using them as a deposit and then getting a mortgage for the rest? The problem is mortgage lenders don't allow you to borrow the deposit. You could potentially use an investor to fund the whole deal, but finding an investor, in this case, with a spare £500,000 swinging around in their bank account, going to be a bit of a tough ask, I would think. Now, you might think, well, I can't find an investor with 500, but I could probably find 5 investors with 100 each, put those together. Now, that's not going to work either, because what you've now got is an illegal collective investment. In other words, the FCA prohibit you from pooling investors' individuals' funds into a single project or company, because it would then be what they call an unregulated pooled investment. Hey, have you subscribed yet? If not, click the button there. Oh, and that dingy belly thing there so you don't miss a new video every time I release one. Thank you. And follow me on Instagram too. There's the button down there. Thank you. Now, going back to using people's money, private people's money, as a deposit, and the fact that mortgage lenders won't allow that, then look, they're really clued up on this. They've been aware for years that people try and sneak borrowed deposits under the radar, and they're very attuned to drilling down and finding the true source of the money. And when they find that deposit money is actually borrowed, they terminate the application. So borrowing deposits in almost all circumstances isn't a solution. Now, one thing that interested me was this guy said he remortgaged these properties, but he's still got a lot of money trapped in them. Now, my thought there was, well, he hadn't done it very efficiently. Because when you refinance properties after you've refurbed them, you should get a big chunk, if you do it well enough, big chunk of your cash back into your bank account to go again. And whatever was left in the properties, you could extract on a monthly basis by the profit of rent over mortgage payment. And ideally, this would be extracted in a year or probably 2 at most. Now, the answer to that is a lot more discipline in the properties that you select to buy to then improve and refinance. So it's about saying no to a lot more properties, or getting a lot more precise on the price you're prepared to pay for a property that's going to allow you to pull most of the cash out. Now, the other contradiction I picked up there, if you heard this earlier, was that first of all, he said he wanted to extend his portfolio, but he also said later that he wanted to buy, refurbish and sell. Well, you know, if you sell something you've refurbished, you're not extending your portfolio. You've still got, in his case, the original 4 you started with, because you just sold off the next one you bought. A bit of extra clarity is needed there as to what does he actually want to do. Does he want to buy, refurb and refinance to build his portfolio, or to buy, refurb and sell to put more cash in his bank? Both work, of course, just a question of which one you want to do at any given time. And it may be over a course of time that you want to do a bit of both. It may also be that some properties lend themselves to doing one or the other. So if it's A, buy, refurb and refinance, then you can't use private money for mortgages for the deposit. If it's B, you want to buy, refurb and sell, well, you can use private money in that case, but you can't use mortgages. Now you've got to be using bridging finance as the main way of financing, and then just using your borrowed deposit to top up. So that's this week's video. I'll be back next week with another property finance video. Hey, see you there.
If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.